Hi. Welcome to Hauzd. This is the third part of your learning curve. In this video we will learn how to assemble our scenes and use Hauzd engine to create your 3D presentation. If you haven't downloaded yet Hauzd editor, you can go to your admin page and find the download button on the bottom left corner of the screen. The install process will be easy and fast. After it's done, you can open it and start working right away. The first thing you will need to do is to log in with your Hauzd account. The engine will automatically retrieve all your admin projects and you can open the project you want to work on. Two windows will be opened. The project window, where you will manage and set up most of your project. And the log window where you will find information about the actions you do. When you start a new project, you can set up your local folder. This will help the engine to look for your files into the directory you created for them. But you can also keep all in just one folder and use drag and drop to import your assets. Architecture is where your FBX scenes will be stored. You can also create a Max folder inside of it so the Hauzd script can automatically create the FBX in the right folder. Surroundings is where you will set up the FBX files related to locations and the OpenStreetMap information that is automatically downloaded. User interface, this folder will have your interface assets, Illustrator files and each size for it. Hauzd UI script will be useful to export your assets from Illustrator to the correct folder. Application is where you will store your app web logos. Once you apply these changes, you can import your assets later with just a single click. To start building up your app, you need to create your first scene blueprint. This data will contain scene information such as camera settings, ambient occlusion and the light configurations. Set your name and type and you are ready to go. Keep in mind that you can use a number for the first character of any name. Suns and light groups will manage some interesting settings for your project. You can use up to 3 groups of lights in your scene and we recommend only use of 3 suns. In your scene in 3ds Max we also recommend to set an intensity of 0.8 in your exterior lights and 0.32 in interior lights. Or you can keep the default value in your Max file and manage the light's intensity and the scene blueprint options. You can also pick any light emission color for each group. After your first bake, you can change in real time certain light's contribution such as direct, indirect and ambient light. No need to rebake again. You can create any number of blueprints with any different settings if you need it for your project. Click OK and changes will be applied. Now you need to create your scene. This must have the same name of your FBX scene and assigned to your recently created scene blueprint. After this step, you can start importing your scenes with just a single click. You can view your scenes and bake the lights from this module. For this tutorial we will add a building scene, a key plan, and 2 units using our sample project assets. We can repeat the process for each one, making sure we're using the right blueprint for the right type of scene and the correct name matching the FBX scene. After finish, we can choose to do a full bake for this scenes or a bake draft. It will be quicker but lower in quality. Having our scenes imported and baked, it's time to work on our structure. We call a node all architectural element that will be a part of the flow of your app, similar as we already did in scenes. We need blueprint to define settings and the hierarchy to define structure. Node blueprint specifies things like which gallery, list, or specification to use. We can also add various properties that we want to control from admin. For example, you will probably want to add beds and baths properties to apartment blueprint. After the editor configuration is saved, the data will be updated in the admin. You can modify there the values for the properties you set. All changes will be applied in real time. In node hierarchy is where we will set the order of our scenes. We need to add a parent, which in this case, it will be the building scene, and start adding the child's. In key plan scenes, this is where pairing will be made, and it will define that your part collision will be attached to a specific node. This node will be your unit, apartment, house, or office. The apartment node will contain individual properties for this unique unit, such as status, price, and label. After this, you can import your logos and standard UI with just one click and start testing your app. Now, we need to add image galleries. First, we will add our images to the architecture folder, and similar as we did with scenes, create the images in the engine so we can import them the same way. We need to use the same name in the file, in the engine and in the 3ds Max name convention. You can select here if the image you will use is a normal render or a 360 view. This setting will allow a nice virtual tour using your own renders. Click on the question mark to see more information about the section you are working on. Then, we will create the group for the image. You can use any category to group different images in the gallery section. To finish, we will create the gallery to use in our app and assign it in the Node Blueprint section. If we have our gallery elements in our 3D scenes, they should appear when running the app. We will use the same method to add a second image for our scene. You can import and use any number of static images you want, organize them by group and create any galleries you want for your scenes. The gallery thumbs is the gallery that will appear as small floating images in the 3D scenes, and the gallery will be the full interface. We will create our specification for our project. This will be used in the description screen, and we can set the text in the admin panel. We can use different specification for each scene as well, and we can assign the sections in the floors and exterior options. This information is customized using the Advanced tab in the admin panel. We need to set color mods to define highlight colors in the part elements. We can create as many as we want for different parts of the flow and assign different conditions such as status, category, feature, and more. We will create colors for select and filter pass, both using status and category conditions. We can use and customize as much as we want our 3 parts elements. Don't forget to assign it to your desired scene. Then, we will need to create the filters accordingly. To show this option, we need to open the filter dropdown and add a new filter called availability. Since we won't use a slider, we can leave it blank. After we assign it to the Node Blueprint, we can see and activate the buttons in the app. After we set our unit properties and define those values in the Advanced tab, we can create a filter for each property. We will also set a filter using the slider property, area in square meters. This way, we can filter different values using the slider interface. We can now create our list to display and organize our units. We will create it using our lists dropdown. First, create the root address so the engine can know how many steps to look for units in our hierarchy. In our case, our root node is building, and we will leave the default number 8 in the search depth. It's important to add the category condition, so you will avoid to have elements in the list that you don't really want. Now we can start adding columns. We have lots of properties to show, but right now we will only add some basics props. We will add label, floor, area, status and beds. After finishing our list, we will need to assign it in our scene node blueprint and test our app. Now, we need to add the map to our scene. We can use the coordinates in azimuth from architecture or use a specific coordinate. Choose the extent of the map downloaded from OpenStreetMap. These units are in meters. We also have ambient occlusion and settings for our suns in this window. After this, we need to import our FBX. It needs to have the same name as the editor and contain our suns and splines. Map close build, underscore. This spline will make the closest buildings to disappear while we are rotating. Map no tree, underscore. This spline will avoid tree generation in the space the shape is covering. Map no build, underscore. This spline will avoid building generation in the space the shape is covering. Map cutout, underscore. This spline will mark the area to avoid any generation from the downloaded OpenStreetMap info. After our FBX is imported and the map downloaded, we can bake and we will need to assign it to the exterior scene where we want to display the surroundings. We probably need to tweak the rotation and the placement, and we can do it in our coordinates section and importing again our scene to have it updated. Large-scale map is the bigger map that is viewed from the top. You will need to create it, import the scene and assign it to the blueprint. Same steps that we did when creating small-scale map. We do have a detailed documentation about this surrounding process and other features of the engine in our help desk site. When we finish the full project, we can click Save and Package in our File menu. The package will trigger a compression process in our already saved project. The first time it may need a couple of hours to fully activate the project on the link. We can share our project's link anytime to be seen anywhere. If you have any specific questions about this process, you can go to our forum page and use the search tab to see similar questions. If there is none, you can post your own question. Thanks a lot for watching and see you in the next video.